Welcome to part three of our interview with Jill Stein, who's in the news again because the Senate Intelligence Committee that is investigating Russiagate is looking into her campaign. And right now, she's here to tell you that she's actually welcoming this hearing, which she hopes happens because then she gets a chance to clear her name and she gets to get her story out in the corporate media, which she normally doesn't. Well, here she is to tell you. Jill Stein, thank you so much for being our guest, and good luck out there fighting against the smears and the McCarthyism. And do you have a prediction on how all this ends? You know, when is the moment come when someone says, "Have you no dignity, sir"? When do we have that moment?
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I have to admit, I am having much more rational conversations with the corporate media than I ever imagined. We'll see what comes of that. But I had an interview at WGBH radio the other day, which was not a particularly friendly interview. And then it was going to be subject to editing. So I really expected the worst. But they had a title, which was, why Jill Stein is not afraid of the Senate inquiry. And it was actually rather favorable. And I think we're in that much of a crisis right now that there are openings here and people are listening. And I think this effort to drag third parties and victimize us as sort of the scapegoat here, I think it's not going to work. It's just, it's preposterous. It's laughable. I think they will probably be embarrassed out of it. And I think there will be a stalemate. In the meantime, I have the incredible opportunity to actually speak through corporate media to a large group of people. And the last time this happened, it was very dangerous to the status quo. It's really dangerous when people get to hear ideas that are outside of the box. So they may really regret having allowed me to get in front of a microphone here and help people see our power and how we might move this forward.
So you're saying that this is actually the unintended consequence of them trying to do this and smear you is now you're getting more media attention than ever before. And when people get to hear you, people tend to warm up to you, which is what happened to me when I got to hear you speak. I warmed up to you right away. You made a lot of great points. You're well-researched. You know what you're talking about. And you're on the right side of all the issues, right? So now when people get to hear you, so this is actually can be a good thing right now that they're calling you in front of this Senate committee. And what do you say to the committee? You say, bring it on, right?
Well, I don't want to... I don't want to jinx things here.
Right.
So I'm not going to make any predictions, but I can foresee the possibility that there could be a very favorable outcome. It's hard to have an inquiry and lock out the facts. The facts are very persuasive here. And this is a subject, I launched a recount campaign, not because it was going to turn around the results of the election, but because it was going to force an inquiry into our very flawed, tamper-friendly voting apparatus, which is an invitation to corruption, to hacking, to malfeasance, not necessarily from overseas, from the corporations who own and run the software to start with, So I've been very immersed in these ideas of election integrity and the problems of election integrity and can perhaps help frame this question. The American people feel the malaise of, this 90% loss of confidence in our political system. It's really important for us to shine daylight on this problem, not just the lamppost of what did or didn't Russia do. And, I think it would be Pollyannish to think that Russia wasn't trying to influence our election. We're all trying to influence each other's elections. I think that the president of Microsoft, Brad Smith, is on the money here when he says that hacking is the order of the day. Do you know how many hacks take place in the state of, where is it that the big NSA information center is?
Is it in Utah?
Yeah, I think it's Utah. So if you Google it, there are 300 million hacks a day into the state of Utah. So there's a lot of hacking going on. Look at the Equifax crisis.
Right.
Look at the ransomware crisis, the WannaCry that hacked its way into our healthcare system, pharmaceuticals, shipping, and energy. What was going on there? Where did that malware come from? Guess who? The NSA. The NSA had hacked into Microsoft to find its vulnerabilities, and that fact then leaked out and was used as the basis then for this malware. So, hey, we do this too. We got the Wild West of hacking going on. We need a Geneva Convention to figure this out, to establish some rules of the road so that we're not all hacking into each other. And when they tell you that there's no evidence that our votes were hacked, they're right in this respect. There is no evidence whatsoever that it has been hacked or it hasn't been hacked. You can't tell unless you do a forensic examination of the voting machines and their software. So they've been kind of pulling the wool over your eyes when they say there's no evidence of our voting system itself being hacked. There's no evidence because they have taken it off limits and have refused to inspect it. And there is evidence of varying degrees, but it seems fairly persuasive that systems around voting have been hacked, including at least some of the state voter registration systems, the private the private software companies appear to have clearly been hacked based on a leak from the NSA. They didn't want that to get out. It seems to be fairly valid. And some other aspects of hacking, including the computers of local election officials. And if you can get in there, you can get in anywhere, actually, through malware. So the system, it's like all the stores around the bank got robbed. Why are we not looking at the bank to see if the bank got robbed? We are still in court now trying to get our hands on the software to do that forensic examination and find out if it was hacked, and if it was, by who, and whose fingerprints are on it. The evidence that's been used to hold Russia responsible for the DNC hack, is based on investigations done that were sponsored by the Democratic National Committee, by what are they called?
So by CrowdStrike. So they did not allow the FBI or the Department of Homeland Security to examine their servers to confirm that it was Russia that hacked into them. And the reason why you would not want the FBI or the DHS to look at your servers is because you don't want them to, because you're making something up. Because that's why I've said there's never going to be any proof of that, because they never let the FBI or the DHS get conclusive proof. That's the only way you could get it. Plus, Bill Binney, who's from the NSA, he's a whistleblower, has been on this show. He's told us that, and Edward Snowden's also said this, that if they really did hack into the DNC server, if it was Russia who did that, they would have the packets. They would already have the information, and they would release it. Mike Morell, just last week in an interview with Politico, revealed that he's the former deputy director of the CIA who came out against Trump, has now gave an interview where he admits that there will never be any evidence, and there's no there. He just said that in the Political article. We got it. That's another video we just covered. So even guys like that are coming around and saying there's no there. He said if there was something there, we would know it already. Mueller would have found it and it would have leaked. And every journalist worth their salt has been trying to find something for over a year, and they haven't. So this is exactly what's happened. So you're right. And people still believe the DNC, even though they were caught lying about the dossier, in which you're smeared. They lied for a year to congressional investigators that they funded it. And then they got caught lying, and no one cares that they lied for a whole year. They just keep getting caught lying over and over and over, and we're supposed to still keep believing them, and still someone else is a worse liar. It's just so what this all reveals is that it's a big club, and we ain't in it, Jill, because Paul Manafort was working with John Podesta's brother, Tony Podesta. He was funneling illegal money from the Ukrainians into millions of dollars to the Podesta Foundation, that group that John Podesta started. So it's all big group. They're all working together. Yes, oligarchs are corrupt the world over, and that's what they're going to find. You put an investigator on anybody in Washington, D.C., and they're going to find a bunch of crimes, okay? And that's why they got rid of the special investigator for a long time. But now Trump's back in the White House, and they want it back. But listen, we have to go, Jill. It's been great talking with you. I really. So when do you go in front of the committee?
Don't know yet.
Oh, they haven't given you a date yet?
Yeah. We're doing our document search right now,
Okay.
and we'll go from there. In fact, they have not yet called me in front of the committee, so they can still back out. And my guess is they just might.
I bet they do.
But in a way, I'd rather they not, because I think this really needs. This is a very instructive moment. And we need a new way forward. And it's not going to come, as you're saying, I think the answer is not going to come from these bipartisan committees that are really too embroiled in their own politicized framework in which there is no solution. I think we need a people's commission here on election integrity to restore faith in our democracy, including by getting money out of politics, which at the end of the day is essential to restore integrity and faith in our democracy.
Yes, that'll only happen outside of government. That'll never be a government body that does any of that work. But listen, we really
not under our current political system,
Correct.
which is why we need a system change.
That's-
We're not going to fix this with window dressing on a cancer. We really need a profound change, and that's what we're working on here in the Green Party and with a coalition of small, independent, non-corporate political parties.
And so you're running a slate, right? In 2018, the Green Party has candidates running for Congress everywhere, correct?
They are beginning to come out of the woodwork, yes.
Okay. All right. So, Dr. Jill Stein, thank you so much for being with us, and good luck if you get called in front of that. I don't think you'll need luck. I just think you'll need the facts, which you have. So go get them, and thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for being the voice of integrity out there.
Okay, my pleasure.